Are you guys? All right, guys. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm clean on this show.
Tone would love to have me, but
Are we
Gumball.
allowed to? Are we allowed to be on the show?
You know what? And I'm gonna
You
double
suck.
down. You would love to have me too, Ball.
How deep are you? You know what I'm saying? Like how deep do you go?
yo.
All right, bro.
Hey, yo, James, don't call him directly because he might cut you out. Call me first and I'll transfer you.
What does that mean? Whoa! Yeah, he started jumping on it. Can you feel it? Can you smell it? Do you smell what the book is cooking? Yeah, what I like to say is movement fails opportunity when opportunity fails to move. worry. Don't worry. Don't go anywhere. I am here, and I'm back. We are okay. Technology in 2026. It's a work in progress. But welcome into your favorite show, your favorite podcast, the Gumball Sports Machine podcast, in which we love, we laugh, we hug, we cry, we smile, and most importantly, we are positive. And as always, I am not on my own. I got my dog, my boy, my David Largo, D-Lo, a.k.a. co-host. D-Lo has arrived. D-Lo, what's that look for? What are you doing?
This man, when it comes to technology.
I should not be this bad.
Oh.
Okay. What happens is every time I try to watch the Suns game on some sort of way, I don't want to disclose anything.
Yeah, don't put the business out there.
Yeah. It just crashes. So I'm just gonna go without the Suns game and follow it on ESPN or something until we get there.
Yeah. So we texted our group chat, and I thought the FBI had shut us down because of my pre-pod comments.
Yes.
Was not the case.
Well, here's the thing, D-Lo. They're not they're still gonna shut us down, but they're just gonna shut you down at your house. They're on your way home. They're on your way to your home. Yeah.
Cool.
But it's not just us two. There's a third member of our crew, and I can see him. You guys can't see him. He's looking a little drippy. He is my dog, my OG, the gentleman in which we like to call the generalizer here on the pod. He is triple OG Tone. Look at the drip that Tone is carrying. Where did you get that from?
Yo, you know what I'm saying? Special order.
That looked fantastic. Now, when should I expect mine in the mail?
Yeah, when am I gonna get mine?
When's
that gonna happen?
You remember my address or
We gotta get y'all one, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's pretty sharp, Tom.
We gotta hook y'all up.
Yeah, well, I'm reacting on there. This is the first time I'm seeing this.
Yeah, I did that on purpose.
See, there you go.
I was gonna say I did not have that on pre-pod, so
that looked a lot better than what he did have on pre-pod.
Wow.
So
just cancel this order.
Yeah,
there you go. See that?
Go ahead and put the other hat back on.
Gee, wow, I can't get over that, Tone. That's pretty sharp.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I like it a lot, man.
Sports.
Huh? Gumball Sports Machine.
Sports.
It's okay. Hey, we're work in progress. Okay. And,
Hey, let's brag a little bit. Shout out to everyone who've been watching all of our, new shorts. Plug. We on TikTok, we on Twitter, we on Instagram. Like, follow, subscribe. But we just had our most viewed short this past week, man. Shout out to everybody who watched it.
huge shout out to everybody watching not only the actual podcast, that live podcast, but the short form on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube Shorts. And to Tone's point, we absolutely did have our most viewed TikTok that we've had so far. Our Milwaukee Bucks, the Giannis talk that we had, that's at 17,000 views. So a lot of people may look at that and say, that's a lot to us. And so we're grateful for every single person that watches, not only the clips, but the actual podcast live, as we do it every Tuesday and Friday night here on
you know what? If you think 17,000 is not a lot, then name 17,000 people right now. Go ahead and do that.
Do it.
Go ahead and give me a list, and I'll check it off.
Do it. And exactly, D-Lo is our not grammar. He's the only one that graduated from college, so he's
No. We listen. That may be the case, but Kev is still,
he's still the brains. Kevin is still the brains. That's in the genes.
Yeah.
Sure
is.
Yeah. So, boys, aren't we talking? Okay, we're supposed to be talking some sports here, right? This is what this show is about.
I think so. I think so.
Let's talk some football. Okay,
Yes.
big weekend, big football weekend this past weekend. The AFC and the NFC championship games were played, and they were some good ones. Let's start with the AFC, Tom. your boys are getting back to the Super Bowl. It feels like it was yesterday where they were winning 5, 6 championships and just amazing and getting to the Super Bowl every year. And well, look at that, they're back. They go into Denver in some hasty, nasty weather, and they do beat Jared Stidham and the Denver Broncos 10-7 in a very ugly, nasty game. Tone, of course, I know you watched this game. This is your team. This is who you root for, and I know you were happy after they won. What were your takeaways from the game, and what? No, you know what? We'll talk about the Super Bowl later. What did you see from your team in the game, and was it inspiring going into the Super Bowl?
Defense. That's what I seen, man. Ever since we got Coach Vrabel, that was what really excited me because I knew that he had a different perspective than most coaches. He's played the game, and he's played the game recently. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple of guys who have played the game, but they played the game when they were wearing like helmets with no face guard or there was a soft helmet. Those dudes don't even know the game anymore. It's a new day and age. It's a new game. Vrabel has seen it. Vrabel has played it. There's a perspective that he brings to our defense that I don't think people expected. And I will say that the Broncos were on demand. Of course, they didn't have their starting quarterback that they had all season. But I think that Stidham actually played pretty good, except for those 2 mistakes, which we caused. So, and we've been doing that pretty much all season. Gonzo, who I think somebody texted in the group chat that he was a bum, but then he redeemed himself. He got that pick. It was a big pick. And then on the other side of the ball, Drake wasn't regular season Drake, but he did it again. He made the big plays when he needed to make the big plays. And most of them were on his feet. But that's the type of player he is. And under those circumstances, under those conditions, I think he managed the game pretty well. Because that defense is tough as well, man. The Broncos, they're going to be tough for some years to come, especially if Bo is actually the guy that we think he is. But looking forward, Seattle's defense is just as stout, so it'll be a tough weekend, February 8th. But I love seeing what Drake did. He held his poise. I'm interested to see what they're going to put together offensively for the bowl. But, man, again, I just loved how we played defense in that game.
D'Lo, what didn't the Broncos do? They had an opportunity to go win this game. They had multiple opportunities to go win this game, and Christian Gonzalez obviously ended it at the end of the game with his interception. What didn't the Broncos do in order to go win this football game?
They didn't kick a field goal in sunny weather conditions.
It's true.
In the second quarter. I mean, listen, and this is the Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell effect, because I think they really revolutionized this let's go for it on 4th down sort of mentality. I mean, you have Jared Stidham, who is your backup quarterback, and I know you have faith in him, right? He's on the field for a reason. Safe to assume, pretty good football player, and he played great in the game. He had a few mistakes, but that's what backup quarterbacks do. I think that overall, though, he played a fantastic game. But you can't go out and rely on him to go out and win you a football game. And in that case, I think if Sean Payton had Bo Nix there, that play probably gets done, right? If in this scenario he doesn't, you need to just kick the field goal and take your points. If he kicks that field goal in the second quarter, this is a tie game and they're going to overtime, where both defenses have been really good at stopping the offenses. I mean, when you look at it, Drake May didn't move the ball well at all the entire game. Again, to Tone's point, he made the plays when he had to, especially with his legs. He picked up that crucial first down at the end to seal it, obviously. But he wasn't throwing the football very well, and they weren't really running the ball that great either. It was really a defensive-heavy game. And so when you think that, you have to just get points where you can get points. And I think that is their biggest mistake. And I hope it teaches teams that when they're right there, they just need to kick the field goal. And I mean, I think that's really their biggest mistake. I don't think they made a whole lot of other bad decisions throughout this game. Mm. Again, Jared Stidham, he played about as well as you could have hoped him to do. I don't blame any of his mistakes on either Sean Payton or on himself because he's a backup quarterback. It's what they're going to do. But I think that one mistake of Sean Payton deciding to go for it instead of kicking the field goal costed them a potential chance at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was honestly probably my biggest takeaway from the game, boys, is Sean Payton had a lot of confidence in Jared Stidham. Going forward on that fourth down when, again, there's no snow, no windy conditions, no crazy, and still trying to go for it when points are going to be at a premium in this game was the wrong decision. And especially, and it's not like Jared Stidham is going to go out and throw for 350 and 4 touchdowns and not turn the ball over. He still turned the ball over twice, one of which costed them the game in that fumble that he tried to shuffle. And then you still put him in a position to go try and help you win the game. That's not the player that he is. That alongside with you had no run game. No run game. You couldn't get anything going on the ground. And to help a quarterback, a backup quarterback in a position like that in his first start in the AFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl and you can't run the ball whatsoever. But yet you still put the ball in his hands. It doesn't work. It won't work, and it didn't work. The Patriots defense is also really good, though. They wreak a lot of havoc. Milton Williams, obviously. Christian Gonzalez got burnt on that first drive. Marvin Mims burnt him, and then he got it back. And he closed out the game with that interception to seal the game. But Sean Payton has a lot of confidence in Jared Stidham. And for whatever reason, again, he put the ball in his hands to go try and win the game. Not in a game like that. Not in a game like that. If this is a week 4 or 5 game and you need Jared Stidham to come fill in for 1 or 2 weeks because Bo Nix is hurt, fine. I understand. In the AFC Championship game, to go to the Super Bowl, the first one that the Broncos have been in over 10 years, and that's the position you put your backup quarterback in. It wasn't the right move, and that's the reason why you scored 7 points. You scored on the second drive of the game, and you didn't score another point after that. That's what you get. Now, this is no slight to Jared Stidham. Jared Stidham can possibly be a good quarterback. I don't know. Maybe somebody will go give him a chance after what they saw in the AFC Championship. But Drake May didn't play that well. He ran the ball really well, but he did not throw the ball very well. So he had an opportunity to go win this game if you're the Broncos. And for that, again, Sean Payton, I put this game a lot on Sean Payton. I do. You put too much confidence in Jared Stidham. You forced him to make plays that he was not able to make, especially in conditions in such they were in. And because of that, you went and lost the game. That's not the case. That's not how you go win a football game with your backup quarterback. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what the Broncos are able to do. What the Patriots are able to do against the Seattle Seahawks, who we're going to talk about in just a minute. But, with the Patriots...
Shout out to the Patriots special teams, though. They've been phenomenal all year, and especially in this game, they didn't technically block it, but they tipped that one kick. That kick would have been deadline and center too. That was in the fourth quarter.
Yep,
would have tied the game. So again, shout out to the special teams. They've been doing their thing all year.
Yeah, no, 100%. And again, they have no run game. The Broncos. I cannot emphasize that with a quarterback of that magnitude. You run the ball for 79 yards on 24 carries. That is 3.3 yards a pop. I won't get the job done. It won't. And it didn't. And so again, you force your quarterback to go try and win you the game. And that's not Patrick Mahomes. That's not Josh Allen. That's not Lamar Jackson. That's not Joe Burrow. That's not one of these guys. That's Jared Stidham, a backup in which he's been for his entire career. So that was odd to me. The amount of trust that Sean Payton had in Jared Stidham, and maybe, I don't know, maybe he showed something in practice in which he's like, you know what, I can trust this guy to go win a game. I don't know who I would trust to go win a game in conditions like that, because Sean Payton had to know what the weather conditions were going to be like, and he still decided to try and go win the game.
It was wild though. First, second quarter, it was nothing, and then out of nowhere,
it started pouring and snow, and that's playoff football. You know what? Real quick, before we move on to the NFC game, I'm curious to see what you guys think. So Kurt Warner tweeted. I don't know if you guys saw this. Kurt Warner, obviously the Hall of Fame quarterback, he tweeted during the game. And I'm paraphrasing. I don't know exactly. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said games like this should be played in domes. That's, he's not a fan of the weather. He's also a quarterback. So again, you can't really expect a quarterback to say anything else other than something like that. As great as Kurt Warner was, he's still a quarterback. How do you, Tone, how do you feel about games like this? Games in the weather, games with conditions like this. Do you feel like they should all be played in domes to where your quarterbacks are at the best and you're not going to get any excuses, from the weather or from a slippery football or whatever it is? Or do you like these football weather, these snowy games, these nasty weather, these nasty conditions that they play in January?
I'm on the fence with this one, so I'm probably not going to give the answer that everyone would like to hear. Because I'm a little older, so I like the old school stuff. I like a little rough, rumble tumble football. I like, you can get a little messy, but I also, to a certain standpoint, I'd assume there's a large fan base. When we look at all sports, people love offense. People just loved offense. And so you're not going to see much in this type of weather. And I'd assume that there might have been people that changed the channel because there just wasn't much to watch offensively. Of course, a person like myself, I'm biased. I'm a Pats fan. I'm going to tune in for the entire game. But just trying to be unbiased and thinking about the casual fan, someone who doesn't kind of know everybody on the field like you two gentlemen do. You guys know who the guy who's standing on the sideline with with the jacket on. Yeah, so he hasn't played in 3 games. But just as a casual fan, I'd assume that they want to see a little bit more offense. And so having it in the dome, especially a playoff game of such magnitude, may be more valuable for the league from that standpoint. People aren't going to tune out. That's what I assume he meant by that.
So also, I'll clarify really quickly. So he didn't really say anything about playing outside or playing in a dome. He just said, and this is exactly what he said, so glad this weather is dictating who goes to the Super Bowl. And then with a bunch of like puke emojis. So D'Lo, again, January games, these are what they look like in places like Denver. You saw what Foxborough looked like. They showed it on the broadcast. And so you saw what they would have been playing in if New England was home. Buffalo, Baltimore, places like this, Cincinnati, places like this where it's going to be nasty, it's going to be cold, and it's going to be gross. Are you fans of a game like this, or do you think that more teams should build a dome so they prevent situations like this?
Yeah, I'm a fan. I personally am a fan. I mean, if you don't want to play in that weather, get a better record. Be better than that team. I mean, I don't know. I feel like because these teams, they practice in it, they play in it all the time. And so they have what everyone likes to refer to. They have home field advantage. That's what it is. It's not like New England isn't accustomed to playing in that weather because they get it too. So I feel like in that case, it's not like an unfair advantage in this case. Now, if you're looking at like the game last week, well, not NFC Championship or championship games, but the week before divisional round, you're looking at that Rams Chicago game. The Rams aren't getting any snow. So that I could see it. Okay. But in this case, the weather is not dictating who won the game because they both play in it. They both practice in it. They both have open stadiums. So I don't think that this is some like clear cut like advantage for one team or another. And even then, it's just be better. I mean, obviously the throwing conditions aren't that great, but could have had a run game. There's
Yeah.
nothing stopping you from running the ball. There's nothing stopping you from playing defense. I don't know. I guess Kurt has it from a quarterback perspective, and in that case, I would like kind of understand because obviously it's hard to throw a football in those weather conditions. But even then, it's not the most unfavorable weather. That for a quarterback specifically, it's heavy rain because it makes the football all slippery and wet, and then you got to throw it, and it goes into the dirt, and it gets more water. Blah blah blah. With the snow, it's not gripping to the football. So you still have grip there. You just can't see visibility wise, it's worse. It's not affecting mechanics at all. So I don't know. I feel like this is just a personal preference. I don't mind it.
At work we had Lorenzo Alexander, a 15-year NFL vet. He played a long time in the NFL. He's a linebacker. And I quote, he said, ask anybody that's played football that's not a quarterback, and they would say they love playing in that weather because that's football. Football is a sport you play in any conditions, aside from lightning. But other than that, any conditions, snow, sleet, rain, hail, whatever it is, that's a sport you play in no matter what. And that's what makes the sport so great. That's what makes these stadiums so great. Obviously, a lot of teams build domes. We have a dome here in Arizona because it's 175 degrees when they play in the beginning of the season, which makes sense. You don't really want to play in that. That could get a lot of guys hurt. But I guess snow is the same thing. But you don't, again, it's not like any of the guys made excuses, any of the Patriots or Broncos. But that's a sport you play when it's nasty. You are hitting people for a living. Your job, you're getting paid millions of dollars, is to go hit people. A lot of people like hitting people when you're playing football. That is the goal. That is kickoff, especially kickoff return, special teams. And D'Lo, you mentioned the run game. Your job is to move somebody back when they don't want you to move back. Move them back at their own will. And when you get to do that, when it's snowy and it's loud and it's nasty and it's miserable outside, that makes the game that much more enjoyable, not only for the player, but for the fan as well, because it's not like you're experiencing that, but it adds that much more, not anticipation isn't the right word, but that much more just excitement to the game. And it brings something different. And so to see weather like that, again, everybody, it'd be nice to see them play in a dome where, there's no conditions and there's nothing holding them back. And each quarterback could go throw for 350 and 400 and 6 touchdowns and 5, whatever it is. But I'm a defensive guy. And so I love the defensive games like that. And so to see a game like that, a 10-7 game, again, in a game as big as the magnitude as that game is, to go to the Super Bowl, that was perfect. I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. The physicality that game had. I mean, it was fantastic. It was wonderful to watch. So I personally am a big fan of those weather games. And so I don't think, and then I'm also not a fan of all these teams building domes. That's what you get, D'Lo. That's what you get home field advantage for. That's what you get. That's what you play for in the playoffs. And so that's what you look for. And I think that's old school style, to Tone's point. And I don't think it should go anywhere. And again, money speaks at the end of the day. I completely understand that. But there has to be a time in which let's just play football.
Where did Kurt play?
Who's that?
Where did Kurt play?
Here.
Kurt played. It's crazy. Kurt played with the Rams, who play in a dome, with the Cardinals, who play in a dome, and he spent like that little bit of time in with the Giants, I think it was. But outside of that, he played in a dome for most of his career. So, again, Kurt Warner is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But again, one, he's a quarterback, and 2, he played in a dome for the majority of his career. But let's get to the NFC game. The NFC game, the Seattle Seahawks go and beat the Los Angeles Rams 31-27 in Seattle and Lumen Field in the NFC Championship to go to the Super Bowl and represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. The Seahawks, for the first time, have been to the Super Bowl since 2013. Was it
15
2015?
When the
so
last time it was there?
Yeah,
against the Patriots. Yeah,
yeah.
I think
Actually,
that
that's
was
funny.
2015.
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know, Tone. Do you want a second to get yourself a cough drop or get yourself some water or yeah, just making sure. Okay. but all right, before we get to Tone and you know his goodness, his team going back to the Super Bowl. D'Lo, when you watch this game, obviously high scoring game, 31-27. In the regular season, these two teams played twice because they are in the same division, and they were separated by 1 point and 1 yard. And that's how close these two teams were to each other. And Seattle ended up coming away with the W. What did Seattle do that well in order to beat the Rams and come away with the W and go on to the Super Bowl?
And Darnold. That's what happened. Sam Darnold. JSN had a great game. Kenneth Walker had a good game. The offense had a good game. And we were talking about it prior when we were making our predictions. That Rams secondary could be had, and they were. They were absolutely had by JSN. He had a phenomenal game. Don't know how you leave the league's leading receiver wide open in the end zone. Don't know how that happened. I couldn't explain it to you. But he was wide open. With that said, Sam Darnold, he didn't turn the ball over. And I think that was the biggest key because I talked about it. The Rams' way to win this game was to get pressure on him and force him to be uncomfortable. And they just didn't do it really at all. He felt pretty comfortable the entire game. Kenneth Walker in the run game, they were pretty good the entire game because defensively, they weren't really getting it done like they did in San Francisco. Matt Stafford and Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams, Kyron Wood, they were all moving the ball pretty well. And so for Sam Darnold to come out with the game that he did, throw 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, no fumbles, it's a good game. I mean, you couldn't really ask any more of him. And if you're Seattle, you're kind of hoping that he just does that one more time in the Super Bowl. Because if he does, they have a really good shot of being Super Bowl champs.
Tone, what'd you see from the Rams that lost them this game? Obviously, a high-scoring game. Offensively, they look really good. Defensively, there's a few things that they could have done better. But from the Rams, what lost them this game, and what did you see from really? I'm maybe I guess specific, even the Rams defense that caused them to lose this game and allow Sam Darnold to have the game that he had.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what Lo said. The secondary looked bad, man. They let Sam Darnold and JSN eat, man. I couldn't tell if it was just the Seahawks being that well prepared, or if the Rams were just not. Well, they were underprepared. I couldn't tell which one it was. But Sam Darnold did his thing, man. They look scary because their defense, to me, looks like the best in the league. I was actually texting Kev. He said that he thinks the Broncos and possibly the Texans have better defense. But I said to myself, the Hawks look like they had the best defense, which was nice because the Rams were capable of putting numbers on the board, but they couldn't stop a running nose. They couldn't stop JSN. What do you have? $150 on 10 receptions or something like that. That's lunch, man. That's free lunch. And you're not going to win very many games allowing that. It was interesting to see that they were underprepared. To me, this late in the season, you would have thought that they would have been ready for that type of. Who else was he going to go to? Cooper, possibly.
He had a touchdown.
He did.
Yeah, but man, I like the run game for the Hawks too as well. But $150 and 10 receptions is crazy.
And that right there, Tone, is the point I'm going to kind of build off of. The Rams, it's not like they played horrible defense. It's not like they were this team and went out there and laid down. They went out there and fought, but they couldn't pressure the quarterback. And I mentioned it last week when we were making our predictions. The Rams back end, the Rams secondary is not very good. And you're already losing a corner in Keller Witherspoon. So you didn't have him. Darius Williams is not very good anymore. Cam Curl and the safety is okay. Cameron Kinchins is also okay. Kobe Durant is pretty good. But that secondary is not very good as a whole. And Sam Darnold lit it up like a Christmas tree. JSN, 10 for 153 and a touchdown. I mean, Sam Darnold's numbers were Sam Darnold, 346, 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I'm not saying Sam Darnold is Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow, or even Lamar Jackson. Sam Darnold is sneaking into that elite range, though. Because, if you watch this show, you know how much consideration and how much I put on performing your best in the biggest moments. There is one other quarterback that has performed like this in a championship game. And it's not Patrick Mahomes. It's not Josh Allen. It's not Lamar Jackson. It's not Tom Brady. It's not any of those guys. And to see Sam Darnold do that on a injured oblique, and to have the game that he had in the NFC Championship game, to take his team to the Super Bowl, man, you know who's missed out? You know who's pissed off right now is the Minnesota Vikings. Say that much. The Minnesota Vikings are livid now that they have to live with 9 and they got rid of Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is very, very good. Now, does Jason help with that? He does. He helps with that a little bit. He's also pretty good. But Matthew Stafford is also elite in this game. That was just the difference. They couldn't get a stop when they needed to stop, the Rams. They couldn't. And the way that Sam Darnold played, and boys, it's like Sam Darnold couldn't have a bad quarter. He couldn't have a bad quarter. If he had a bad quarter, they lose this game. If he turns the ball over once, they lose this game. And he went out and won the game for them. Sam Darnold looked really, really good. Hey, mister, you have your water? You just
So
Somebody said good defense and a quarterback that doesn't turn over the ball.
win your football games.
So going back to this conversation that we had earlier with the Broncos and, going for it on 4th down, should the Rams have kicked 3
Yes.
there, even though, they needed another score anyway? Should they have still kicked the field goal and tried to get another stop? Or what is your thoughts? What is your thoughts on that?
And I said it during the game, D'Lo. I was sitting there watching the game with Pops, and I said they need to kick this field goal. They have to kick this field goal. Now, did they get a stop? No. And they had the ball with like 20 some odd seconds left in the game. So, but in that moment of time, you kick the field goal because then you put more pressure on the Seahawks. I understand it's still a 1-possession game, but at that point in time, if the Seahawks don't get 2 or 3 first downs, they give a lot of time to the Rams to go down and kick a field goal instead of needing to go get a touchdown. And that field goal would win the game, not only tie the game. I said it in the moment. They need to kick the field goal here. And they didn't get the first down, and which inevitably lost them the football game because they couldn't keep up with the Seahawks in terms of scoring. But in that moment, they should have kicked the field goal 100%.
I agree. Because listen, we've seen it before. 28 seconds is enough time to get down to the 40.
Yes.
And kick a field goal for the win. And the other thing is that in that case, you can't just play the middle of the field, because if you give up, 20, 30 yards down the middle of the field, they can spike it and get a kick.
Yeah.
So now they have to play the middle and they can't play the sidelines, which gives them even more time, right? And so in that scenario, I agree. I think they should have kicked it and, live with your odds.
Yeah. And again, it's some. Now, I'm not saying it was a horrible decision. I disagree with the decision. But it's some of these decisions that can win you and lose you games. Now, I think Sean McVay is top 3 coaches in the NFL. So if he decided he wanted to go for it, hey, You know
Yeah.
what? He's won a Super Bowl. He's been to multiple. So you got it. But again, in that moment, D'Lo, and again, you and I agree on this. You should have kicked the field goal. It puts more pressure on the Seahawks. And again, with 20 seconds left, you can get down the field, a couple big plays, and you can go attempt a field goal, even with no timeouts. All right, sticking with football, fellas, the news of the day. Well, at least what I've seen all over the place. Cleveland Browns rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders has made the Pro Bowl roster as a fill-in. Drake May obviously will be playing in the Super Bowl, so they need a fill-in, and they went out and got Shedeur Sanders. There, of course, has been mixed reactions all over social media and the NFL social media specifically. D'Lo, when you saw this news, I'm very, very intrigued to hear this. When you saw this news and heard that Shedeur Sanders was going to be one of the 3 Pro Bowl quarterbacks for the AFC, what was your reaction?
I'm honestly not mad at it, to be honest. Um, I definitely think there are guys that are more deserving, 100%. But if you're looking at it from an NFL standpoint, I mean, people haven't tuned into the Pro Bowl for years now, and the quality has just gone downhill. Obviously, similar to the All Star game, it just seems like there's no competitiveness anymore. Obviously, for the risk of injury, and so they turned it into a flag football match. And so at this point, I think they're just trying to get some name value out there to get some more people to tune in. In that case, I'm not mad at the decision that they made. I think that it's a great decision on that front because Shador just has the name value, especially over a lot of the guys that we probably would consider. With that said, I don't think that he did anything remotely in the stratosphere of earning a Pro Bowl nomination. So, in that sense, I can understand why people are mad at this. But if you're looking at it from strictly an NFL perspective and why they chose him, I think the reason is pretty clear.
Tone, you saw this. You saw Shedeur. And I myself, I am a fan of Shedeur Sanders. And I know you are as well. I know you like his game. But when you saw this, the 5th round pick, Shedeur Sanders, making the Pro Bowl in his rookie year, what are your thoughts on Shedeur Sanders making the Pro Bowl?
I couldn't agree more with Lowe. Everything he said, I don't think he quote unquote deserved it as far as his play on the field goes. But I'd say he deserves it for his namesake. He's got probably the biggest name in the NFL right now. And there are a lot of big names in the NFL. There's a lot of talented guys. There are a lot of guys who do the social media. There's a lot of guys who got commercials. But Shedeur is him when it comes to namesake in the NFL. He is the guy. There are kids that are buying his jersey left and right. There are kids out of that state that are buying his jersey because of who he is. I do think he has a tremendous upside for the future. So it'll be interesting to see how many Pro Bowls he's in, if he's in already in there year. But yeah, I think this is what sports is moving forward. You know, if you've created that social media presence, we want to be entertained, and namesake has value. I spoke to it on our last pod that Bronny James was selling Laker jerseys. Bronny James isn't very well talented as far as it goes in the NBA. He's a good basketball player. He tears up the G League every now and then. But as far as the NBA goes, he's playing maybe 5 minutes at the end of the game if the Lakers are up 20, and he still might only score 5 points, if that. Shedeur, on the other hand, does play pretty well when he's in the game. In comparison to the other quarterbacks, he's not one of the guys deserving. But that name, that last name as well, that's Dion's son. But Shedeur, he's doing this thing, man. And like Will said, that's going to bring in the viewers.
That is probably – sorry, let me rephrase that. That is the number one reason Shedeur Sanders is making it into the Pro Bowl. Number one or number two. Shedeur Sanders, again, I believe is the best quarterback in the 2025 draft class. And I think he'll be able to prove my point, whether it's now or whether it's 10 years in the future. This year, he shouldn't have. There's no way. There's no way. He had more interceptions than he did touchdown passes. There's no way he should have made it to the Pro Bowl. Now, I understand the fan voting. There's no way he should have made it into the Pro Bowl. And again, I'm not saying this to diss Shedeur Sanders. Again, I think he's the best quarterback in the draft. I think he's better than Cam Ward. I think he's better than Jackson Dart. Maybe not now, but I think he will eventually be the better choice other than those two. But this year, when you talk about the Trevor Lawrences and even the Joe Burrows, who played the same amount of games as Shedeur Sanders, and even the CJ Strouds, there are other guys who deserve to be in this Pro Bowl more. I think the other thing is, and both of you guys mentioned it, nobody wants to play in this game anymore. There's no point. If you're on vacation, what are you going to cancel your vacation to go to the Pro Bowl? Now, if this was 10, 15 years ago, maybe, yeah. Not now. You stay on your vacation, you stay in Barbados or Turks and Caicos or Brazil, wherever it is that you are, Rio, and you enjoy your off season. There's no point to come back for a Pro Bowl that doesn't matter, in which you don't barely play it. It's pointless. And I think that's really, again, aside from name value, the other reason is because the guys that I just mentioned, the Trevor Lawrences, the CJ Strouds, Joe Burrows, Lamar Jacksons, they don't want to play in this game because there is no value in it whatsoever. The Pro Bowl value that it means now is not the value that it had 10 years ago or the honor that it was 10 years ago. It's not. The game has changed. So I think that's probably the biggest reason why, and name value, and nobody wants to play in the game anymore. And so obviously a rookie, Shedeur Sanders, who gets the call and say, hey, you want to come to the Pro Bowl? We asked all 15 other AFC quarterbacks. They all said no. So Shedeur, come on down. And I think that's what happened. I think they just ran out of names to bring in, and, well, Shedeur became that last name. Literally and figuratively in terms of his last name. See what I did there? Sorry. Oh, okay. You guys are very mean.
I'm sorry, but I'm trying to think of a way in the future that they could make this game possibly a little more entertaining. Like, I think that there's a gamble as far as the NBA is going, doing the Euro versus American, the international versus American, which is, still yet to be viewed. So we don't know if that's actually going to be successful. But I'm like, I don't think we have enough international football players to do that. And I'm like, I don't
not on that level, not on the Pro Bowl level. You know what I mean? Yeah. Five of the 7 best players in the NBA are all foreign. And that's a good point. But I think you just cancel the game. You get named Pro Bowler, say, hey, you were good enough to be on this list of players who had a very good season. And maybe you continue to play the little games, you play the dodgeball and the throwing competition, whatever it is, but you shut down the game. It's pointless. It's pointless. Nobody wants to see it anymore. So I don't know. I don't know what they do with the Pro Bowl, but Shedeur Sanders.
Maybe they make it the first game of the season. Like, the best players from this season, they play in like week 0, not week 1, but week 0, they play in a Pro Bowl game to see how it's almost like a get ready game.
Yeah, that'd be tough though. The only thing, get after training camp, and then because training camp is hell for NFL players, and so to go through that, and then the preseason, and then guys getting cut, and that you're also trying to get it'd be tough to kind of squeeze that in there somewhere in between training camp, in the preseason before the regular season. I mean, it's an interesting idea. I just honestly at this point I'm open to anything to make the game watchable anymore. Like, I want to see the best players in each conference play against each other, and at a high level. We're not going to get that. We're never going to get that. And again, I will continue to say the best All-Star game is the MLB All-Star game. I watch it every year. I love it. It's because they're competitive. Like, Shohei Ohtani wants to strike out Aaron Judge. Like, there's no, I'm going to throw you a 75-mile-an-hour meatball and you can send it to Jupiter. There's none of that. I'm going to give you what I have because I'm going to pitch for an inning, and then I'm going to go sit down for the rest of the 8 innings. So I don't know how you fix it. I don't know if there is fixing it. But we'll see. Okay, there was another coaching hire. We are now down to 3. The Bills did hire Joe Brady today, so that is what took the list down to 3. But that's not the one I want to talk about right now. The one I want to talk about, actually, funny enough, with the same colors, my do-rag. The Pittsburgh Steelers went out and hired former Green Bay Packers and Dallas Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy. Obviously, Mike McCarthy was well known for winning a Super Bowl in Green Bay with, guess who? Aaron Rodgers, who just so happened to play quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. D'Lo, when you look at this Mike McCarthy hire and what they're trying to do, now it is crazy to follow up Mike McCarthy with follow up Mike Tomlin with Mike McCarthy. I guess they both won a Super Bowl, whatever it is. Mike McCarthy is an experienced coach. Was this the right hire? How should Pittsburgh Steelers fans feel about the Steelers hiring Mike McCarthy as their next head coach?
I mean, they should feel terrible, but they won't. And the thing is, right, is that Mike McCarthy is from Pittsburgh. That is his hometown. And so from that perspective, they probably love him already just because, he's a native. But when you're thinking at it from a football perspective, I don't know if this is the right move. I feel like there are so many good names out there that should have been considered before Mike McCarthy, especially a guy like Clint Kubiak. I know he's, still doing his thing, but why? Where is he at? And so just not a big fan of Mike McCarthy. Didn't do it in Dallas. He did it once on the back of Aaron Rodgers. I just don't think that he has what it takes to get Pittsburgh out of mediocrity.
So Mike McCarthy, D'Lo mentioned he won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. He had Brett Favre, and he had Dak Prescott, all of which he won one singular Super Bowl with and never even got back to the Super Bowl. When you look at the Steelers and you look at the expectations that Steelers fans have for the Steelers because of the standard that they have set, or at least are trying to set once again, was Mike McCarthy the right hire for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Unfortunately, I'm going to say yes, because what else do they have to look for? Good to look forward to, should I say? AR hasn't announced his retirement, has he?
No, and I think because of this McCarthy hiring, I think they're expecting him to be back.
Yeah. So I'd say yes. You've got that connection between the two. What else? It's highly unlikely they're going to win the bowl. And so you got to bring people, got to make people somewhat happy. You get a hometown quote-unquote hero. You got that connection between the two, so they'll likely have some success together. And it'll be a good year. I also think he won't be there for long. And so that enables you to bring somebody in that probably won't be upset when you say, all right, it's time for you to go. And then you can bring in somebody for the future. And so it'll be probably a quick turnaround, a year or two, and they can figure out what type of system they want to run, what quarterback they want to bring in to get AR and him out of there.
Oh, Jamal, sorry, just before you go, because Tone, you mentioned that the Steelers have no Super Bowl hopes, and I just want to know why. Because year to year, it's different. Obviously, the Patriots, your team, by the way, just went from not making the playoffs last year to now being in the Super Bowl. But why can't the Steelers turn around and make that same jump if they are given a few more pieces? You know what I mean?
That's true. We have not made it to the offseason. We haven't seen them make any moves yet. So I guess it is possible. And AR is still a heck of a quarterback. But I will say he is like older than I am. So
well, when you put it like that.
Oh. Can't argue with it. I just thought that like no chance was like kind of crazy because I mean a
I
lot of
just
us,
look at the
myself
rest of the league.
included,
I'd imagine that the Bills get better. I'd imagine we get better. I'd imagine both of you guys teams get better. It's just a lot of teams that I think are actually going to get better and likely still be better than the Steelers. But like you said, anything can happen. Players get injured, things change.
I don't know if Cleveland's going to be better, but
Well, that's that's
my bad.
no.
My bad to Cleveland Browns fans.
I
All
don't
two
think
of
you have
you
to
out
apologize.
there.
I was going to say there's about 1.5 Cleveland Browns fans that have ever existed in the planet Earth.
Yeah.
And one of them is Deion Sanders, and he's just became a Cleveland Browns fan. But
What do you think about him becoming the coach?
that's a whole nother topic of conversation in which we could get to, because I guess they are technically still actually not technically, they are still out of a head coach. Just real quick on the Mike McCarthy front. Here's the thing I don't understand. The Pittsburgh Steelers have had a total of like 3 coaches in the last 200 years. And so if you're looking for long-term solution at head coach, this is not that solution. Mike McCarthy, I imagine you brought in Mike McCarthy because you want him to coach Aaron Rodgers again. And you saw that the success that they had together, and you're hoping to revitalize that and get another Super Bowl. To Tone's point, Patriots aren't going anywhere. The Ravens are going to have a healthy Lamar Jackson. The Bengals are going to have a healthy Joe Burrow.
Maybe.
Patrick Mahomes is going to be back. Maybe. But again, a lot of these teams, the Jags aren't going anywhere. A lot of these teams aren't going anywhere. And if you are looking, again, Mike McCarthy's not going to be the long-term solution, mainly because Aaron Rodgers is 48 years old. No, he's actually 42 or however old he is. But he's 42 years old.
Older than Tone.
Older than Tone. There's not too many people that are in that case. Okay, my bad.
Oh,
Yeah, that was crazy. That was, yeah.
That's but if you look at that, this is not a coach. I mean, once Aaron Rodgers retired, what are you going to do? You're going to have Mike McCarthy coach Will Howard? And I'm not the biggest Will Howard fan. He did win a championship for my Buckeyes last year. I'm not the biggest Will Howard fan. He had a really good team around him, and he had some very, very good receivers. But you're gonna have Mike McCarthy coach Will Howard for the next 15 years? Is that what your plan is? I'm not sure what the Rooney family is doing here. Mike McCarthy has been a good head coach. He's had his moments. I think his time has come and gone. And again, when you're coaching Aaron Rodgers, who's 42 years old, he's going to retire next year after, maybe. There's no plan. There's no long-term plan in hiring Mike McCarthy. So maybe in the short term, it's a good idea. But even then, I don't think you're going to be able to compete with the Baltimore Ravens, even with the Cincinnati Bengals when they come back better next year, with the Jacksonville Jaguars, with the Buffalo Bills, with the New England Patriots. There's a lot of other teams that are further ahead of you than the Steelers are. And I think that's where I'm confused in terms of this coaching hire. So we'll see, though. I could be very, very wrong. I could be. And Mike McCarthy could go and win the Super Bowl next year. Will that happen? I'd put a very hefty sum amount of money that it does not happen. Now it could. But that conversation of Deion Sanders to the Browns, now it's a fun conversation. I saw it on ESPN today. Is it realistic? No, of course it's not. Deion Sanders is very comfortable in Colorado, coaching Boulder, or coaching the Buffaloes in Boulder. He just went viral the other day for his lists of fines that he will fine the players if they are late, if they don't miss if they're late to a meeting, late to a practice, miss a meeting, late to a meeting, whatever it is, which I like a lot, by the way. I think that's a very good system. It keeps everybody disciplined. It keeps everybody structural, keeps everybody organized. And if not, then you got to pay up money. That's what NIL does. And just like the players are taking advantage of it, Deion Sanders has learned how to take advantage of it. But in terms of him moving to the NFL, I think Deion Sanders is a leader of young men. And I think that's where he's best at. I think that's where he thrives. I could not see him going to coach the Cleveland Browns, and obviously Shedeur Sanders is on that team, but you never know, I guess. You never know. But I mean, Tone, could you see Deion Sanders going to coach his son in Cleveland with the Browns?
Yeah, I could. I think that the Browns need something to bring people inside of the stadium, and one of them could be Dion. And if they make the bag big enough, he'll think about it. He will make up a new set of rules for some grown men. But I understand. I do agree. I don't think that he is an NFL coach. I also don't think it would mix well to have the quarterback's dad be the head coach. I think it's just a little different in the NFL than it is in college. But again, every team doesn't win the championship, and so you got to figure out a way to bring people to the games, and it would be really entertaining to see Dion on the field again.
D'Lo, could you see Deion Sanders coaching in Cleveland with the Browns? Because honestly, I couldn't see him. If he does coach in the NFL, it's going to be wherever Shedeur is at. He's not going to coach anybody else other than his son. Could you see him going to the NFL and coaching the Browns or, whatever future team Shedeur may be on?
No, I really can't. And I don't really envision anybody coaching the Cleveland Browns right now. I can't see anybody in that head coaching slot.
It's tough.
It's a tough position. But I just think that college football is where Dion is most comfortable at. As you mentioned, raising a group of young men and trying to get them to be, better football players, one, but also just better men, right? And so I think in that sense, he's just right at home where he should be. Again, if he were to take an NFL coaching job, it would be wherever Shador is at, and that just happens to be in Cleveland right now. But I just don't envision him moving from where he's at.
Yeah, Dion is again a leader of young men, not grown men who are making $40 million a year, because those guys already know how to make their money because they've made it already. Deion Sanders is a teacher. He's a teacher coach. He's going to teach these young men how to obviously be better at football as well as being better men. And the way that Deion talks, again, I'm not saying Deion Sanders talks to his players, some crazy type of way, but there's a certain type of way, and you guys both know this. There's a certain type of way you talk to 20, 21, 22, 23-year-olds than you do 27, 28, and 30-plus-year-olds. And the way that Deion talks to his kids, his 18, 19, 20-year-olds, is not going to work with 27, 28, and 30-year-old men who are making so much more money. And I think that's the reason why he'll stay in college. Okay, let's get to some basketball for a few minutes here. One of my favorite players of all time, Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose got his number retired the other day by the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, number one pick, youngest ever MVP. And to go home. He's born and raised in Chicago, and for him to go home and play in Chicago with the Bulls, of course, was a dream come true for him, and he did so very, very well. Tone, when you look at Derrick Rose and just his career, and I'll stick specifically with the Chicago Bulls because that is who retired his number, and his prime. His prime was a lot greater than a lot of even of the greatest players of all time. Where would you rank his prime in terms of just when you talk about, obviously the injuries hit, but when you talk about the Brandon Roys, another guy whose prime was really, really good, but he got hurt. So when you look at a guy like Derrick Rose and what could have been, but what did you see in Derrick Rose that you didn't see in a lot of these other great players who even played a long career that didn't have as many injuries as Derrick Rose had?
He had, I guess, what people referred to as the Mamba mentality. He was a dog on the court. He was fearless. he was he was a similar mind like Westbrook. Like Westbrook, they say every time he's in practice, he's in the game, he's a dog. That was Derrick Rose. And the crazy thing is, I believe I seen in an interview when he came in the league, he said he didn't want to be a scorer. He wanted to facilitate more, but the coach told him, "No, we need you to score." And he would just turn up. That dude averaged, I think he averaged what 30, or close to 30 one season, and he had like 8 or 9 assists. He was just a dog, ultra athletic, speedy. He had the in and out behind the back dribbles, running fast breaks in between several defenders. He did some things that we've never seen before. The springs on that guy were crazy, catching bodies in traffic. At 6'2", 6'3", standing on a phone book, and to see him do it for his hometown is just that's a dream come true. There's a lot of players that wish they could go home and show out. You probably got your family and friends right there all the time cheering you on. You dunk the ball or you make a move and you hear a voice that you recognize because you're at home. You know what I'm saying? He's not playing in LA. He's not playing in Texas. He's playing at home for the Shy. He played high school, middle school basketball there. That's an incredible journey he's had. It was sad when he got hurt, man. A lot of people were upset that I know personally. Because Derrick Rose was their favorite player. But I think what he accomplished, what he means to the game, will forever be remembered. It's dope that they retired his jersey. I think that was more towards what he meant to the city than what he was capable of accomplishing because he really didn't get a chance to fulfill, I'm sure, his own dreams once he was able to become the best version of himself. I believe, still the youngest MVP, which is an incredible accomplishment when you think about the players that we've seen come and go in the NBA. Um, but Derrick Rose is a special talent, man. Special talent, and he had an incredible prime. When you think about the prime of Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, like that dude's prime, special, man, special. Like he's one of the fan favorites. If he had a better jump shot, boy, oh boy.
Goodness gracious.
And he had the midi. He had the crazy midi. But
D'Lo, when you look back at Derrick Rose's career, and obviously, it didn't get cut short to injuries, but it definitely got derailed due to injuries. Where would you rank Derrick Rose in the all-time point guards list? Would you have him, top 10, maybe top 15, or because of the injuries, does he slide back even further?
This question really depends. Are we talking prime only, or are we talking for a career? Because if we're
Career.
talking for a career, I think he actually slides back. Because really, the only thing on his resume is the youngest MVP ever. That's really it. It doesn't have any rings. He doesn't have the longevity stats. He just doesn't have any of that. And so when you're looking at it from a wider viewpoint, I just have a hard time justifying even top 15, really. He might be even further than that, just off the top of my head. So it's hard to say that because, we all witnessed Derrick Rose during his prime when he was the youngest MVP ever. And so that sucks. I'm sure we all wish that he could have, held on to that longer, but it's just not how things worked out. Because really, when you think of Russell Westbrook, that was Derrick Rose to a T. He was Westbrook before Westbrook in terms of, athleticism and explosiveness and, just everything in terms of that. And so even defensively, he was really, really good defensively. So, I mean, going back to the question though, yeah, I have a hard time putting him even top 15, maybe even top 20. He might be further back than that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just can't justify putting him that high.
Derrick Rose to me is, I want to say the second. I want to see the first, but I'm going to say the second biggest what if in NBA history. In my opinion, the biggest what if, and I know he's had a successful career, but the biggest what if to me is Kawhi Leonard. We can talk about that on a different day. But he's the second biggest what if in NBA history. The talent that this dude showed on both ends of the floor. He is one of the most athletic human beings to ever grace the face of this earth. And for him to just go down with an injury like that, it hurt. It hurt watching. I watched a lot of Bulls basketball growing up. And so to see that and to see him go down really, really sucked. But it was really nice to see in his jersey retirement ceremony. It was really nice to see Taj Gibson and Luol Deng and Joakim Noah and all those guys that he played with there to support him, to really honor him, and to give him his flowers that he so rightfully deserves, because he meant a lot to the Chicago Bulls and a lot to the Chicago city. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But Derrick Rose, there was nothing he couldn't do. The only thing that he struggled with was that three-point jump shot. He had the mid-range. He could easily get to the basket, as we all know. He could sit down on the perimeter. Again, he's the biggest what if and one of the most talented basketball players to ever touch a basketball. And for his career to get derailed by injuries sucked. It sucked so much. Did he have his moments after he got hurt? Yes, he did. Of course he did. He had the game winner against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Again, the infamous one in which he hit the game winner and he went straight face. He had his 50-point game with Minnesota. Obviously, later in his career, he had some moments with the New York Knicks, but he was never that D Rose before he tore his ACL, and it sucked to see. And I'm so glad that he's getting his flowers. That Chicago and the Bulls are giving him his flowers that he so rightfully earned and deserves. But Tone, you mentioned an interesting point, and I saw a post on this. I saw it on social media the other day about Derrick Rose and what he meant to and what he means to the city of Chicago. And I believe this was Draymond Green on his podcast, but he was saying basically that Derrick Rose means more to Chicago than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, obviously being the greatest player of all time in a lot of people's eyes, won 6 rings with the Chicago Bulls. Is that true? Does Derrick Rose mean more to the city of Chicago than Michael Jordan does?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. It's a bold statement, but I'd have to agree because he's from Chicago. And he's from what the kids like to call the trenches, and so there's a lot of kids who actually looked up to Derrick Rose, especially 10 years ago, and they see themselves in his shoes. Whereas Michael Jordan was from, I believe, New York, but then his family moved to Carolinas, something like that. He wasn't from Chicago. He was just a basketball player that played in Chicago. I don't even know if Mike was really in tune with the city when he played there. That's kind of a newer thing that I think a lot of these athletes are doing. They're becoming, more ingrained in the city that they play for. But I don't like to throw Mike under the bus. But as far as I know, Mike was kind of uh, a not a nice person. Yeah. I was trying to find another word, but he wasn't a nice person, and so I don't think he really ingratiated himself with the city to take care of the youth, stop at the YMCA and stop at the local restaurants and donate. I don't think he did too much of that. Whereas Derrick Rose did all of that, even if it wasn't seen publicly. That's just who he is. Like, Derrick Rose is from the town. And so I'm sure he went back to the places where he used to play ball Simeon High School. I'm sure he just did things for that town, and I'm sure he's still doing it to this day.
D'Lo, when you look at all that Michael Jordan did for the city of Chicago, again, winning 6 rings, 5 MVPs, greatest player of all time in a lot of people's eyes, and in a lot of people's eyes, and some other people's eyes, not the case. And then you look at Derrick Rose, growing up in Chicago, being the number 1 overall pick for the Bulls. Is Derrick Rose more beloved in Chicago than Michael Jordan is?
Yeah, I would have to agree. Now, let's preface this by saying Michael Jordan means more to the Chicago Bulls than Derrick Rose does. But if we're talking about the city of Chicago, I think Derrick Rose has him by a mile. Again, Tone talked about it. Hometown kid. Everyone loves the hometown story, right? I think that in that perspective, to see this kid from Chicago come into the Bulls and then turn the franchise around essentially and wouldn't be the youngest MVP ever. To go out and get them number 1 seeds and competing again. It gave a lot of people hope that, the Bulls could return to the former glory days. And when you look at it again, Tone mentioned Derrick Rose is a great person, not just a great player, a great person. And MJ he's really not. So when you look at it from that perspective, yeah, I think that Derrick Rose does mean more to the city of Chicago. And again, if you're talking about just the Bulls fans and the Bulls in particular, they would probably disagree with you because, 6 championships, multiple MVPs, a depoy. It's kind of hard to beat that in terms of the value that he brought to specifically the Bulls. But if you're looking at just the impact of Chicago, I think, yeah, Derrick Rose has him beat.
D'Lo, I love the way you said that too, because I think that's very important. Derrick Rose is more important to the city of Chicago, but Michael Jordan is more important to the Chicago Bulls organization. And I think that's the perfect way to say it, D'Lo. And to that point, and both of you guys made the point, Derrick Rose is from Chicago. He is Chicago. When you look at Derrick Rose, he represents everything that is Chicago. And for him to be the number 1 pick and come in and win an MVP at the youngest anybody has ever won an MVP and have the early success that they did, making it to the playoffs, being the number 1 seed as fast as they did, Chicago Bulls fans were saying, oh my God, this is the second coming of Michael Jordan. We're getting Michael Jordan reincarnated. Now, would that have been the case? Who knows? Unfortunately, that got cut short because of the injuries. But when you look at it, Derrick Rose, again, that city loves Derrick Rose because he represents that city so well and everything he's done for that city. And a lot of the times, both of you guys made really good points. When you look at some of these guys, Michael Jordan wasn't a very good guy. And we're going to talk about somebody here in a few minutes that should be on the Hall of Fame ballot, but is not a very good guy. So maybe some people took him off. And that's a lot of things that these reporters take into consideration. Is how good of a person were you? Did you treat them well? Did you treat other people well? Did you treat others how you wanted to be treated? It's cliche, but in the sports world, these are things you have to take into consideration if you are an athlete talking to other players, especially now in 2026, now that there's cameras all over the place. It wasn't the same, obviously, back in the 80s and 90s when Michael Jordan was playing. There wasn't nearly as many cameras and microphones all over the place, but those people who do vote and those people who do have a word put their word in because, again, Michael Jordan just wasn't the greatest human being. But yeah, Derrick Rose, which you got again. I can't emphasize enough what you guys points were because Derrick Rose, what he did for the city, what he's done for the community, he's done a lot more than Michael Jordan even could have done back when he was playing. So it's really cool to see, though. I really love Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is one of my favorite players of all time. It sucks to see that he got hurt because the potential was out of this world for Derrick Rose. And again, I think to me, he's the second biggest what if in NBA history. Again, you can throw guys like Tracy McGrady in and Greg Oden and Brandon Roy instead of these other guys that careers kind of got hindered by injuries. But Derrick Rose, I think, is near the top of that list in terms of biggest what ifs. All right, let's close out the show with this. I was just finding out a few minutes before we went on the air. D'Lo brought this to our attention. Bill Belichick, obviously the New England Patriots, longtime head coach. He's no longer their head coach. He's the head coach at the University of North Carolina. But it's been 5 years since he's coached in the NFL, which means he's eligible to become a Hall of Famer. Looks like that won't be the case on the first ballot because sources say, and I'm reading this from an ESPN article, saying that in voting earlier this month, Belichick fell short of the 40 out of 50 votes needed for the induction to the Pro Football Hall of Fame during his first year of eligibility. 4 sources with firsthand knowledge of the outcome told ESPN. Belichick received a call from a Hall of Fame representative last Friday afternoon with the news that he won't be inducted into the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio this summer. Tone, this is the guy that coached your team for a long time. He won 6 Super Bowls with your team. He's been even more. First thoughts when you think of Bill Belichick not being a Hall of Famer on the first ballot, what is just your pure reaction?
Honestly, I think somebody's jealous that he got a young tenderoni.
See, there you go. See, there you go, bro.
Just like, I'm lost. I can't fathom what math is going into this. Like, when you look at what he's done for football, and I kind of agree that he's known to be a little bit of an a-hole. But in that sport, you kind of need that type of a coach. You need somebody who's not going to tolerate certain things. There's been guys who have played for other organizations that have come to the Patriots and said, "Oh no, Bill Belichick is everything that you hear about, but he's everything that you need if you want to become a better man and a better football player, because he's not going to allow you to slack off. He's going to demand such a level of competitiveness that you're going to become a better player and most often a better man." I'm lost. I jokingly, that's what I kind of feel like his situation with his young lady could possibly be irritating people, because how could he be such a good man and then now have a young lady, like she's like a third of his age or something like that, which is kind of crazy. The only other thing that I could think of is there was an acceptance within the organization of people that had sketchy characteristics. And of course, he had pretty much the reins over there in New England. And so it's that, and then I guess, Deflategate type of stuff, but from what I've heard, I'm not, really in the mix. I don't know too many people within the league, but I've heard that a lot of teams do these type of things. It was just New England who got caught. And then also when it came to the footballs, they said like it was like a 22 of the 30 or something like that footballs that were all iffy, and basically it was all pointless. And of course, they don't come out and share that information, years later. They're like, "Oh yeah, we just made Tom Brady pay a fine, and the New England Patriots pay a fine. Let's just get over it." They don't announce that, "Oops, sorry, we may have made a mistake with that whole thing. It was a kerfluffle." I can't understand how somebody who's so accomplished, well known as like the best coach in the history of the sport, maybe second best, how you couldn't have him a first ballot Hall of Famer. To me, it's a bad look, especially if you're not going to say why. You're just going to have us all thinking. But, they've got their own criteria, and obviously he didn't fulfill it.
D'Lo, again, 6 rings more than any other coach of all time. And the greatness that Bill Belichick brought to the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots aren't what they are today if it is not for Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Your reaction to Bill Belichick not getting into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot?
Yeah, there's a few things, and I want to bring up the point that you mentioned earlier, Maul, on if some of the voters might have some things that they've heard about him personally. And the thing that I want to say about that is this isn't the induction into the Best People Hall of Fame. That's not that's not what this is. We're not inducting him because he's some swell guy. We're inducting him into the Football Hall of Fame. Um, what? Who else is more deserving? And I think that if you're the voters, there is no other coach for many, 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 many years, because who knows, that should be a first ballot Hall of Famer in their eyes. Then there's no coach who can no longer be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Because if Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, then there is no coach who is a first ballot Hall of Famer that is currently living right now. Mike Tomlin, love him to death. Great guy. He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. According to what we just witnessed, he's not better than Bill Belichick. He doesn't have the stats. He doesn't. He doesn't have 6 Super Bowls. So it just boggles my mind that the voters can sit here and say that the one of the greatest, because there are debates on if he is the greatest coach in NFL history, but one of the greatest in NFL history, and he is not a first ballot, is absolutely blasphemous. And they should fire everybody who is voting on that. Everyone needs to get gone, and they need to get replaced. Every single one of them. And
This
that's
is a
just what it
joke.
is. Yeah.
This is a joke. That Bill Belichick not getting into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot is a complete joke. Now, fellas, I want to bring up something. There have been 3 other NFL coaches of all time that have made it into the first ballot. Those 3 guys are Tom Landry in 1990, Chuck Noll in 1993, and Don Shula in 1997. Neither of those guys have 6 Super Bowls. And D'Lo, you may be nice and bring up the fact that there might be a debate in terms of the greatest NFL head coach of all time. Bill Belichick is the greatest NFL coach of all time. Point blank simple. There's no reason Bill Belichick should not be getting in on the first ballot. None. And the fact that he's not in is, to steal a word from D'Lo, blasphemy. It's blasphemy. The requirement is 40 out of 50 votes in order to get into the Hall of Fame. It's 40, or to be on the ballot. Let me see. Yeah. And Belichick fell short of 40 out of 50 votes needed to get into the induction to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. That's a joke. There's no coach that has ever been better than Bill Belichick. Now, you could tell me about his time in Cleveland with the Browns and stuff. He went to New England, who New England Patriots aren't the Patriots if it's not for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And I really want to emphasize Bill Belichick. Because you know what? Who went out and drafted Tom Brady? Oh, Bill Belichick. That's right. You know who was the general manager of a lot of those teams that went to the Super Bowl? Bill Belichick. Kyle Van Noy. Again, these are just random guys that aren't the players they are today without Bill Belichick. Kyle Van Noy, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, Rob Gronkowski. These guys are great because Bill Belichick had a hand in them becoming great. And with those hands became 6-time Super Bowl champion. That is more Super Bowls than a lot of teams have, let alone one single coach. It blows my mind. Now, I'm not going to sit here. I'm going to say that I'm the biggest Bill Belichick fan in the world. I'm not. I never will be. but I am a fan of greatness, and I understand what it looks like to be great. And when I look at great, Bill Belichick, I look at that's great. That is GOAT in terms of NFL head coaches. And the fact that he's not getting into the Hall of Fame on his first ballot is an absolute joke. It really is. Again, I don't want to come on here and say I'm some Bill Belichick stan. But again, greatness needs to be appreciated. Whether he's a good person or not. He is a great NFL head coach. And just because he said something about your mama 40 years ago doesn't mean you can't induct him into the Hall of Fame today. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I wonder what this looks like, 5 years from now. Like, what does Andy Reid have?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, what does this mean for, like Lo said, for coaching moving forward?
I'm telling you, there is no head coach that will be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Ever.
It won't happen.
Because
Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, any head coach, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Pete Carroll. None of those guys will be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Again, I have a lot of respect for those three coaches that I named, and Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, and Don Shula. None of those guys are as good of head coaches than Bill Belichick. That's just the truth. And the fact that they all got in on the first ballot and Bill Belichick doesn't get in on the first ballot is beyond me. I don't understand. I really don't.
I think it says more about the guys who are on the board than Bill Belichick.
100%. And in that case, Tone and D-Lo, you kind of mentioned it. They all need to be reviewed. All of them. All of the voters need to be reviewed, and because there's no way Bill Belichick doesn't get 40 votes. 40 votes in order for him to get into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. That is a joke. That is a joke. And this is why I say we need to appreciate greatness while it is here. This is one of those times where you have an opportunity to appreciate greatness, and he doesn't get in. What sense does that make?
Doesn't.
Goodness gracious. Okay, now that I'm heated, we're gonna end the show on just me being angry.
That's okay, and that's okay. You know what? Let's put the three of us on that committee, that we can make the right decisions and also get paid a lot of money to do so.
Agreed. 100% agreed. Which means we're all gonna vote Larry Fitzgerald for first ballot. That's what that means, right?
It's
What do you mean, D-Lo? Okay, just making sure. Just double checking there, boss. It took a long time to answer that question.
I don't know. If Bill Belichick isn't a first ballot, I don't know if a top 5 receiver of all time is also first ballot. I don't know.
The boys are up 10 too. That should cheer you up.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But we're playing the Nets. So
Jay is cooking. He's got 30 in the third.
Goodness gracious.
I'm just saying, man. I don't think anybody at this point, player or coach, can be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I just don't think it. I don't think it can happen, man. So Larry Fitzgerald, sorry, not a first ballot.
No, because at this point, the only other person / player that even could be a first ballot is Tom Brady. That's that. If that is the level you need to be on to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, fair. But that's the level you need to hold everybody to. That's the standard you need to hold everybody to, not just people that that were nice to you. Is that a plus? Cool, but don't use that on how you vote people into getting into the Hall of Fame. They do the same thing in baseball and basketball.
Granted, I mean, Bill Belichick is the Tom Brady of the coach world. So
yes, he absolutely is.
Don't know.
And again, this is a sports-wide problem. They did the same thing to Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds might be one of the again. It's not like he might be one of the biggest D-heads in the planet Earth. Barry Bonds, but he's the greatest baseball player to ever play the game of baseball. I understand the steroids. You still have to hit the baseball, and he was great before the steroids. Pete Rose, same thing. The gambling. he got inducted to the Hall of Fame. The problem is he got inducted to the Hall of Fame after he died. So he didn't even get to experience getting inducted to the Hall of Fame because they didn't want to do it until after he passed away, which, again, another joke.
Has Terrell Owens been inducted yet?
That's a good question. Let me see. Owens in the Hall of Fame.
I know they were playing with
Yep. Class of 2018. He got inducted on his third year of eligibility.
Yeah, they were playing with his jacket for a little bit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, stop basing this on emotion and look at the tape, look at the film, and said that guy needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Another guy that might deserve to be, maybe not on the first ballot, definitely not on the first ballot. Another guy that is a horrible person, but should probably be in the Hall of Fame is Antonio Brown.
AB. Yeah, he's
When you put on the tape, 84 stands out.
Oh, yeah. He was money.
We need to stop putting emotions. Sorry, Tom. Go ahead. What'd you say?
No, I was agreeing. He was money, but he's fried bacon grease.
Oh yeah. He's gone.
That might be putting it lightly.
That is a messed up human being. Him and Chandler Jones. But I guess that's another conversation. That is going to close out.
Chandler's out here, man. He might come find you.
Oh, Chandler Jones? Oh, yeah. You know what? He ain't gonna find me. You let him find me. Yep. Chandler Jones can find me. You get ran over. Yep. Anyway, because that's a big dude. I'm not finding him. That is going to close out this episode of Gumball Sports Machine. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, where's the camera? I mean, the camera's in a new place. Also, let me know what you guys think about the new camera. It looks a lot clearer. It looks a lot better. So I'm hoping it turns out a little better. So, but anyways, now that I found the camera, somebody else is going to tell you, I love you. You matter. You woke up this morning and be grateful for it. Express lots of gratitude. Be happy, smile, and be positive. For my dog, my boy, D-Lo, David Largo, a.k.a. co-host D-Lo. For my dog, my unk, my OG, the generalizer triple OG Tone. For yours truly, Jamal Gumo, a.k.a. Gumball. As always, see, there you go. So you're right, some stink. I don't know what it is, but it's nice to be important, but it's much more important to be nice. We'll see you all on Friday night. Thank you, sir. That's perfect. Again, like Tone said earlier, appreciate all the support recently on all the social medias on here. Don't forget Tuesdays and Friday nights, somewhere between 7 and 7:30. We are on a consistent schedule now, so please don't forget to tune in. Set your alarms. You will see your boys on every Tuesday and Friday night on here, goofing around, talking some sports, and having a good time.
Oh, we bounce, man. Happy birthday, Sudi, man. Happy birthday to the dog.
Yes, Sudi. Happy birthday, brother. He's approaching your age, Tony. He's pretty young.
That's crazy.
That means he's wiser.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying. I hope you don't see this, but we'll see. Anyways, love y'all. As always, it is nice to be important, but it's much important to be nice. More important to be nice. We'll see you all Friday night at 7:30. Love you. Holla. Peace.
Gotta find my way